Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Tanner's Favorite Things. I'm Tanner Knight, and today we have an unboxing and a demo for you. So I have this little amplifier right here. I've been on a very small amplifier kick lately. The Vox AD30VT version that I just demoed earlier was a really fun amp and one that I advocate still. But this one I came across completely by chance. This amp was given to me, and it was given to me by a friend who acquired it and no longer wanted it. So they're like, hey, I know that you like speakers and whatnot, so here you go. So I was like, awesome. This is the smallest amplifier I have ever seen. And it literally is, besides this kind of novelty amplifier that I have. This EVH stack is a battery powered deal, and it's a cute little amp, but it works not well. So anyway, this is a real amplifier with a real amplifier that powers a speaker. And the one thing that's sort of not real about this is the backplate. So here's the original backplate that came on this amplifier. You can see it's quite thin. I don't know if we'll focus on that, but it's basically cardboard or cardstock. You can bend it, and it's very chintzy, we'll say. So this, I don't think, does a very good job of deflecting sound off of the back of this cabinet here. So I've gone ahead and modified my own backplate with just a piece of MDF that I had in the garage. I just cut it out to the specifications of the original backplate, and we'll see if that makes a difference in how the sound is deflected inside of this little cabinet here. So what do we have? This is the Kona KA10 solid state amplifier. So no tubes or anything, just a little transistor power and preamp and some potentiometers here. We have volume, bass, treble, and then a headphones 1/4 inch output there. There's a little LED light that tells you it's on. You can see it turns off when it's off, turns on when it's on. It does say guitar amplifier for what it's worth, so we're going to put it through its paces. So once we get a good feel for this original speaker, I've actually gone ahead and purchased an upgrade speaker. Kind of an unknown for me because this is a 6.5 inch woofer in here. That's a very uncommon size for guitar amplifiers if you have any experience with guitar amplifiers. But in any event, this is a 6.5 inch driver, and I got a replacement that we're going to hear right after we plug in a guitar and hear what it sounds like on its own, and maybe with a little bit of preamp pedals in front of it. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and demo this amplifier with my new PV reactor from the early 90s. I just demoed this guitar not long ago, and I had a really good experience with it. So we're going to keep going with this guitar and go ahead and hear what she sounds like, just because this gives me some pretty standard tones, Telecaster, and even beyond that with the kind of mysterious PV electronics. So here we go, PV reactor plugged directly into my pedal board, so that's in front of the amp, and it's going directly into the amplifier. Our signal is being captured by our Audio-Technica AT4033 SE microphone, and that is a condenser style of microphone which is being fed directly into my Focusrite Scarlett 18920 interface. Alright, so I have the volume set to about 75, maybe between 75 and 80, and our bass is all the way up, our treble is in the middle, and it sounds like this. So it's pretty basic. I would say that it's passable as a practice amp. It gives you an amplified sound of your electric guitar, so it does exactly what it's supposed to. Is the tone brilliant? No, by no means. It's lukewarm at best, we'll say. So there you go. Let's go ahead and hear with a little dirt. Let's hear the tube screamer first. This may go completely off the rails. I don't know. Let's hear what it sounds like. That might be a bit much. It doesn't look like it's peaking the signal, but let's back that up just a hair. So again, not what I would call particularly inspiring, but hey, it does provide a little bit of distortion, and I don't think it's actually hurting the speaker in any way, even though it might sound like it's pushing it to its absolute limits. Who's to say? But it doesn't sound like damaging distortion or the speaker is about to explode. So I'd say that that's more than I expected. Let's go to the metal zone. This is not going to sound good, I can tell you right now, but let's go ahead and do it. I gotta say, that's way better than I expected. Even better than the Tube Screamer, I thought. It tightened up the sound, and I thought I would just blow it out, but it does pretty admirably for a little 6.5 incher with a MDF backing here. So, not bad. Let's go ahead and see what we have in this box. Introducing the Max X series subwoofers. So this looks like an advertisement. A thank you and a Parts Express. Your satisfaction is our top priority. That's nice. So here's some coupons from Parts Express, and otherwise we have a box in a box. Okay, we've got the Classic Series 6.5 inch woofer. This is a product by Dayton Audio, and we'll go ahead and get you some close-ups. All right, it's a cute little guy, just 6.5 inches. It's got a really nice tight cone. Feels like it's got some raised surface here, kind of like sandpaper actually. A really soft and supple surround, and a nice giant magnet for a little 6.5 inch speaker. I've seen smaller magnets on 12 inch speakers, so hopefully they've engineered this little guy to send out quite a bit of sound. One disclaimer, I don't know if this is designed specifically for use with guitar. I kind of have a feeling it's not, but I think it's an all-purpose style of speaker, so hopefully it'll work for our purposes. It says 4 ohms, made in Taiwan, Dayton Audio. All right, so let's see what kind of magic we have under the hood. 5 screws in here. And here we have it. So you can see the original 6.5 inch speaker in here, and a transformer, looks like coming off the bottom side of the amplifier, and the rest of the controls are inside of this box here. I assume that's the solid state amplifier and preamp with the fuse box right there as well. So nothing special about this enclosure by any means. It's very slapdash. I think this amp is most definitely made in China or somewhere overseas. And otherwise, let's go ahead and crank into this thing and see what our replacement speaker sounds like. Okay, so this speaker is held on by 4 bolts, of which one of them here, this one down towards the bottom, is holding the ground for this transformer. So we'll have to be sure to replace that. But otherwise, we have these 4 bolts and the 2 speaker contacts to be aware of. So let's go ahead and loosen those speaker contacts first. Have to unsolder these. So I got my trusty soldering iron. I hate solder connection speaker wires because, I mean, just why? Just why? So there's one. It's so easy to just put a set of terminals on here that you can use what's universally recognized as the international speaker enclosure standard, but hey, who am I to say? So looks like we lost some wire there, but that's okay. We can go ahead and replace that on the new speakers. So let's go ahead and take this guy out of the enclosure. All right, we'll remove this ground cable here, and our speaker should come free and clear. Well, there we go. So it looks like we even have some washers on these speakers, so that's kind of nice. Let's go ahead and collect all of those. All right, moment of truth. First of all, we've got a perfect match on the diameter, but whoa, look at the difference in the size of the magnet. It's at least twice the size of the original speaker and hopefully a lot more robust. Yeah, this is very weak paper cone on this original speaker versus this real burly one. So this should really enhance the tone of this little amplifier. Let's go ahead and get her installed. All right, I've stripped our wire back, so we are ready to install our new speaker. Let's go ahead and get her done. Wow. That was quite the jigsaw just to get that in there, but I think yeah, we're not jutting out too far here. So let's go ahead and solder this guy up. This is our positive. This is our negative. All right, that looks good. All right, just go ahead and tighten these on. We don't have much travel on these screws because of the fact that this surround is so much thicker, but I've been able to get just enough purchase on the bolt head to get my little tool in here. But this magnet is definitely pulling things in that direction. That one was tough. All right, quit stealing that. Okay, we don't need a washer for this last one because it has the ground cable. All right, she's solid. All that's left is to put on the back plate and plug her in. All right, so we're back with our KA10 amp fully installed with a new speaker, and we're going to go ahead and hear what she sounds like. First, I want to run through it without any effects, so let me make sure that we don't have any lights on the pedal board. Looks like we're good. So when I turn my volume up, this will be the first time we hear this speaker, so let's go ahead and hear what she sounds like. So our volume is maxed and it's pretty quiet. Let me make sure my volume is maxed here. We're in the bridge pickup, so that's potentially the loudest position on this guitar, and yeah, it's kind of quiet. Doesn't sound like I'm pushing it too hard, to the point of breakup at least. So I think that it's just a little bit quieter out of the gate. We have our bass. Our treble makes it a little bit louder, it's just brighter, but I'm not crazy about that sound. I think that sounds a lot more balanced even though it's a bit quieter. So it does seem like the speaker so far is a little quieter than the original, which is kind of surprising. I totally expected this speaker with this giant magnet to project sound better, and maybe it's just due to the fact that this is kind of an all-purpose speaker, not necessarily a guitar-specific speaker, that it sounds a little quieter, but still, I'm a little surprised. Let's go ahead and put a preamp in front of it and go ahead and hear what it sounds like with the tube screamer first. Really nice sound. I think it's a high quality sound, but again, I think that's quieter, ever so slightly quieter than the original speaker. And we'll have to go back and consult the tape to be 100% sure on that. But I do think that our Dayton audio speaker has a slightly lower volume output than the original, which is surprising. It's a 30-watt speaker, so it should have plenty of overhead for this little 10-watt amp, but it's just a little quieter than I expected. All right, so it's a really nice sound. I wouldn't call it pretty or anything. It's definitely got some dirt to it, but it's quiet. Let's go ahead and add some gain, hit the metal zone, and see what's up with that. So again, we are maxed here, and we're not quite maxed on the metal zone, so let's bump up the level on that pedal and see if we can really push this to crazy limits. And before we hear what that sounds like, I just want to say that the sound is very high quality. I really like the sound of this speaker with both of these pedals, and even without. It's just a little quiet. I don't have earplugs in today. I don't think that the sound coming out of here is even close to the decibel level that would be damaging. I even have my decibel meter reading, and let's see what it gets up to when I really hammer it. It doesn't get above 88. Yeah, 88 decibels is pretty safe. I'd say I start to worry once it gets above 95. Even then, it's not terribly dangerous, but 95 and above is when I tend to plug my ears. So we have a really good sound coming from this amplifier. I'd say that it's a better sound than the original speaker, but not a louder sound. So I guess it's kind of a give and take type situation. I do know that this is a brand new speaker, and that sometimes contributes to the amount of sound that it can create right out of the box. A lot of the time these stiffer speakers, and this is a really stiff speaker, these stiffer speakers need a bit of break-in time to kind of let their full potential ring out. So I'll have to give it a bit more time, but I gotta be honest, I'm not really terribly inspired by this amplifier. I know that little amplifiers can be really fun and exciting at times, but this is not that. Again, it is the cheapest amplifier you can get on the internet. You can go to Amazon right now and I believe get one very similar to this at around $40, or you can probably find them used for $30. So there's not much to this amp, and as a result, you know, it has a sound that's less than perfect. but I figured it was worth throwing a $40, maybe $50, I can't remember the exact cost of this replacement speaker, but I figured it was worth adding double the cost of what the amplifier originally was to see if it would actually make it a little more fun to play, a little more interesting sounding. And yes, it does sound really good and interesting for sure, but you can't feel it. It's quiet. It's just a little bit tame for me. So I'll have a hard time finding applications for this one. Maybe if I want to play really super quiet, but honestly, the Positive Grid Spark 40 that I have does just that. You can play silently with headphones and it works really well. You can do that with this as well, but it's just super basic, and I guess as a result you should probably just expect that from this amp. It's super basic. You might as well stick with the original speaker and just blow it. And then once you blow the speaker, if you can, I don't know, maybe this doesn't even have enough watts to do that, but once you blow the speaker, then maybe think about investing in this 6.5-inch all-purpose replacement woofer. Otherwise, yeah, that's about the extent of my opinion on this situation here. Was it fun? Yeah. I love testing out new gear and seeing if we can get some cool sounds out of less than stellar or less than highly rated equipment, we'll say. But the Kona KA10, kind of a dud, and if you can afford to spend maybe even just 30 or 40 extra dollars, you could get the equivalent Vox amp used usually in like the 8-inch version, and it's a solid state amp with a tube preamp, and it works really great. So I would recommend maybe going that route if you don't have $100 to spend and you don't want to get the absolute cheapest thing that you can get, which is this. So there you go. So if you have any questions about the Kona KA10, or if you have any experience with this or one of the similar amps that look identical to this, there's a lot of them out there with different branding, I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you have better experience with it, that would be even better. I'd love to hear how you got some really cool tones out of this amp. So it's not my favorite, but hopefully you enjoyed it and got some information out of this little demo here. So thanks again for watching. I hope to see you on the next one.